Hello. Hi. This is the video presentation for Project 1 by the team of Jeff Shemp, John Kellogg, and me, Gracie Han. We are presenting the Network X visualization and analysis for using the global terrorism data. So the global terrorism data is an open source database. This is our proposal, which is from University of Maryland. It contains all the terrorism data globally in the past 50 years. It's fairly large, contains more than 200,000 cases. In our particular one, we have 177,000 unique rows and of occurrences and 135 columns that describing all the details of every single statistics that any terrorism has been recorded. For our purpose, we decided that to make the network run, we decided that to limit database from the past 15 years only. And for the analysis, we have two main interests. One is that we use the target type as a known variable, and this is from the number one here. And then the nodes we use are country as well as the organization as a pair that has been used as nodes. And also we have a spin-off of second network, also using the attack type. So that's two of the networks. Then the third network we decide to use is that we use the known weapon detail as the variable. And then the nodes, we have target type as well as the terror organization as the nodes. So that's three networks, and we did all the analysis on all three networks one by one. First, because of the nature of the large data set, so we used the R Markdown to filter the year from 1985 and 2019, which is half of them, and also only select 15 variables that of interest to us, and then ignore all the rest of the detail. And then also did some renaming, grouping, which is necessary. And that reduced the CVS is what we have used in the Python analysis. So here we are obtaining the reduced data set as I described, which is still fairly large, about 57,000 K. So as I described, we conducted three networks. The first and the second both use the target place as the variable. And then, but the first and second differs in the nodes. So the first network, the country and the attack types are used as the nodes. Here is here's the data heading, and then it has, as we can see, it has around 200 nodes, and we decide that's still quite large. So we only decide to select where the 8 of the Middle East countries where most terrorism occur, and also focusing where United States was involved. So then that reduced it. And then these chunk of codes is the pivot view for the network. And I'm going to direct you to the HTML here. So here is the visualization for the network. As we can see that, as I said, country and target types are our nodes. Very interestingly, that we can see that Afghanistan and Iraq, which are in the central with high connection, not surprisingly because they are the hot zone, war zone. But on the other hand, Turkey also sits in the middle with high connections, very surprisingly, because it's not a combat zone. And unlike Jordan, which is also a not combat zone. So the Jordan's outside behavior is expected, but Turkey's is not. And not surprisingly, that the bombing, explorations, and hostage kidnapping, which we hear on the news, are in the central. So this graphs, we feel like it depicts some surprise, but mostly with not so surprised, which is reflecting the reality. And then moving on, to measure the centrality, we used two types of analysis. One is the eigenvector centrality, and second is the degree centrality. And we plot out the counts of target type, which is our variable, by the most central nodes for both analysis. And so I'm flipping over the histogram for the eigenvector centrality analysis and degree centrality analysis, and we can see that these two figures almost look like twins. So both of the centrality scores analysis leads to the same conclusion almost universally. And moving on to the second network, we retain the target as the variable, but change the nodes to country and terror groups. So here is the peak of the variables and the country and the group, and as we can see, that has 3,000 nodes, which is fairly busy if we display everything with their text. So again, they only eight Middle East countries are selected further, and then these chunks of codes is the pivot view for this large network. So I'm going to show you on the HTML file. As you can see, that it's a moving network. It's still loading. So again, the target is our variable, and then the nodes is which is 3,000 of them, is a combo of country and groups of terror groups. So just like the first one, we did two centrality analysis, eigenvector centrality analysis, and degree centrality. And here are their corresponding histograms for the most central nodes. Overall, they agree with each other, meaning the two centrality analysis. Excuse me. What stands out that caught our attention is that Pakistan, being the most central node, it actually has a centrality score of, in the eigenvector centrality score of 0.64, which is way above 0.5, and it weighs almost the same as all the rest of the top 5 combined. So that is very interesting for us. And the degree centrality tells the same story with lesser magnitude for the Pakistan. But overall, they agree with each other. And then the ranks agree with each other as well. And the number one target, the most frequently targeted in this network is the private citizens, and followed by military, followed by 3 of these groups, which is business, police, and government. So here they have a stepwise laddering effect, which is very interesting and deemed further analysis. And it's the rest of these target types, their difference in terms of counts are obscured by all these most frequent ones. So moving on, we changed the variables to weapons that they have used and construct a third network using the nodes of target, type, and terror groups. So it's a combo of these two, and then the weapons is the variables. So here's the peak. We can see that the weapons used have some firearms, explosives, and of course there are others like assassination. And here is the visualization of these the third network, and we can see that the explosives, firearms are in the central, in the center. That's in terms of the types, and in terms of the terror groups, Al Qaeda and Taliban are in the center. It's a very interesting group to see, and it's a very interesting network visualization. And then in the next few projects, we will look more into detail to dive into detail on further analysis. And just like the other two, we did the centrality analysis, eigenvector, as well as a degree centrality. And it's very interesting to see that Taliban and ISIS are the top 2 nodes here, which are similar in weight. And despite the frequency or magnitude that we hear, in difference that from what we hear from the radio, they actually have similar centrality score. So that is very interesting for us. And firearms, not surprisingly, due to their easy access and the cheap expense, they are the most central ones among others. And what stands out here is that in terms of target group, the private citizens target group weighs so much more, which is almost 10 times more than the rest of the targets groups, business, military, etc. So that is something that we did not expect, but we will take a look in future projects. So final thoughts that this project did give us very important insights and paved the groundwork for further works. And private citizens and the property kept coming up again and again, which despite our expectation of a more infrastructure-related target. And car bombs only make up a very small section of the weapons. Pakistan is heavily linked to what we know as the terror states, even that we never hear that much in the news. So that concludes project number 1, and thank you so much for your attention.